Hi, my name is Harry Finin, and I want to talk to you about personal development. People ask me all the time, what exactly is personal development? Personal development is unlocking and achieving your true potential. Everyone develops at their own rate and on their own path. That's why they call it personal. It's kind of like taking a trip from the north of Maine to the south of Florida. You can do it in a number of different ways. You can get in a car and take the superhighway down. You can get in a car and take local Route 1, the more scenic route. You can get on a plane to fly down, or you can walk the Appalachian Trail. It's not important the path that you're on and at the rate you're developing, so long as you're on the path itself. I started my own journey about 14 years ago, and no one is more amazed by the path itself or the gratitude that I've got of where I've come from and where I'm at and where I'm going. It's about discovering what is unique and precious and personal in your own life. It's finding the courage to voice it and share it with others. It gives you the power to change yourself and the world for the better. Personal development is about finding your true north, what your passions are about, what you truly want to dedicate your life's work to, and what purpose and field you want to spend your life's work in. Everything in life is about change. Free will is probably one of the greatest birthrights that we had. However, most people engage in low-life living, which essentially is low-risk living. When you choose to grow, it takes risk. If you don't take risk, you don't grow, and you cannot accomplish being your absolute best. Risk involves change, and change is a problem for most people. Did you know that change is the number 2 fear of the whole world, right behind the fear of dying? Change is great for you, but not for me, is what the opinion of most people are. People find it easier to complain about the existence that they're in or how life stinks, rather than to change and move forward and create their lives. You know, there's a story about a man who broke down in West Virginia. He was a city slicker. And a friendly farmer from the area asked him to join him on his porch while he waited for the tow truck to come along. So they're having a nice conversation on the porch in rocking chairs. And the dog that's on the porch, this big old hound dog, is just howling like crazy and just won't stop, keeps going and going and going. Finally, the city slicker looks at the farmer and he says, Why is that dog howling like that? He goes, "Oh, that's my dog Blue," says the farmer. He says, "He's sitting on a nail that's poking up from underneath the boards and poking him in the butt." And the city slicker looks at him and he goes, "So why doesn't your dog move?" And with great wisdom, the farmer looks and he goes, "Well, I guess it's just not painful enough for him to move." And that's what goes on in a number of our lives, is that it's just not painful for us to move. It's much easier for us to just stay on that path, as painful as it is, and keep plodding along, rather than change our lives. Right now, at this time in our existence, many people think that all the crazy things that are going on in the world, Katrina a few years ago, the recent earthquake in China, global warming, all the wars that are going on and how crazy people are being, the greed on Wall Street, they think that we're approaching the end of the world. They think it's Armageddon, the apocalypse. But if you look back in history, between the 14th and 17th centuries, there was this thing called the Renaissance, which came after 1,000 years of the Dark Ages. All of a sudden, people started waking up, and there was change around the entire world. But it actually shook the very foundation of people's lives. In 1491, people knew without a doubt that the world was flat. And then this guy, Chris Columbus, comes along, and he shows that it's not, that the world is round. I mean, you couldn't get a more basic belief change than that. And then 50 years later, Galileo comes along and he says, you know what? The Earth is not the center of the universe. The sun is the center of only our solar system. And that shook the foundation of the whole Catholic Church at the time. Christopher Columbus was branded as insane until he proved his point, and Galileo was imprisoned for 7 years in a tower until he recanted. He was imprisoned for being a heretic, and he finally recanted after 7 years. I guess he couldn't take the tower enough and said, "You're right. The Earth is the center of the universe." But he knew it was true. And all these different changes came about in 300 years to change our world forever. About 150 years after that came the Industrial Revolution. the invention of the steam engine. And there was this guy named Ned Ludd, and oddly enough, the people that follow him were called Luddites, who were trying to prevent the Industrial Revolution from occurring. He said that if we let this thing called the steam engine come over and take over our lives, our life will be totally obliterated. We will not have jobs, everything will go away, and life as we know it will not ever be the same. Now the irony is he was exactly right. And with that came the mechanization of all of the manual looms, came transportation systems like nothing before, and the whole world revolutionized. He lost his livery stable business, he lost his buckboard business and buggy whip business, and life never again was the same. I personally think that with what's going on in the last century and now in the 21st century, it is the greatest time for growth, and it will be recognized as such as in the whole history of humankind, that it will be the greatest point of development up to that point as ever before. With the internet, with globalization, with everything else that's going on, if you get caught up in this revolution, it's a time of opportunity, just like it was in the time of the Renaissance and the time of the Industrial Revolution. People fail for 3 reasons. And only 3 reasons. They don't aim high enough, they always aim low and consistently make their goals, or they don't aim at all. That's probably the biggest reason of not aiming at all, is why people fail. They don't want to change. Life's okay the way it is, I'll just plod along and go there. How many people know the answer to the equation 3 times 3? Pretty simple, huh? How many know the answer to the equation 5,128 times 2,165? If you said, I have no idea, I'm going to prove you wrong in terms of that. I didn't ask if you had it off the top of your head. I just asked you if you knew the equation. Now, in the 5th grade, you learned how to put that out into a formula. So take out a piece of paper, write down 5,128 times 2,165 in the formula that you were taught. I bet you now you either have the answer or you have the formula that you know how to exactly solve that problem. So that's the whole thing about this, is that if you know the formula, you can figure out the answer. If you know all the formulas, it doesn't matter what the goals are in your life, you can achieve all of them if you know the formulas. Have you ever watched with great intent and great excitement how a baby develops from birth to about age 2, 2.5? The first thing that they do is they learn to mobilize themselves. And where do they get that from? It's like in their inner being of learning how first to push themselves up, hold their head up first, then to push themselves up, and to turn over, and then to crawl, and then to get up and start being mobile on 2 feet, and then next thing you know, they're off and running. They learn that all on their own, and they have no barriers in spite of the fact that it's very painful. How many times they fall, they hit their head, they hit their arms, but they are undaunted in their belief system of getting up and moving. And then what do? They learn how to communicate. They listen to the sounds of the world, and they see in their observation of how you get from point A to point B, or how you get what you want to eat, or a toy that's there, by communicating. And they learn all of that, and then they get to the ripe age of 2 years old, and what's the next thing that they learn? They learn the word no. No, you can't do that. No, don't go there. And they have all this independence, and now they're mobile, and they're communicative, and they're told no all the time. And that's when self-limiting beliefs start to happen. And as they get older, they're told, be quiet in the classroom. Don't talk at the dinner table. Stop daydreaming. No, you can't be president of the United States. Oh yeah, right. You can be a football player in the major, in the NFL. And we start then taking everything that we hear and start putting it into our system, and they become self-limiting beliefs. The next thing you know, we're becoming news junkies, and we're believing everything that we read at the newsstands. And our world is about reality shows. And now we're living vicariously through other people's lives rather than going back to the point of creating everything it is that we wanted to do in our lives. Wouldn't it be wonderful to be able to get that magic that you had from birth to about 2 years old? If your goals are to be truly happy and successful, I invite you to visit my website. You see, I'm a change agent in the transportation business. I can transport you absolutely from point A to point B, financially, spiritually, and in self-actualization, helping you to become who you always were meant to be in the realm of your greatest good. I'm Harrey Finin. I look forward to speaking to you about the incredible journey ahead of you. Make it a great day.